The movie begins in a mining colony prison where hundreds of prisoners were forced to labor all day. After the large machine called the Crusher Pit breaks down, a guard calls over a prisoner by the name of Kai and asks him if he can fix it. And after a few minutes of tinkering, Kai gets it up and running again. Suddenly, the alarm starts to sound to announce the addition of a new prisoner. When they see who it is, all of the others start to rebel, attacking their oppressors with brute force. Seeing that they're outnumbered, one of the guards activates the control of the crushing pit, reversing it so that the chains around the prisoner's leg drag them to the pit. Trying to save his life, Kai was forced to cut off his own leg to avoid being dragged into the machine hole. Encouraged by the adrenaline, he then jumps on one leg and deactivates all the other prisoners, being pulled into their deaths before collapsing. When he awakens, he finds himself being watched over by Hatcher, who tells him that he knew his father and that they had fought together before. Hatcher regretfully informs him that this mission was the only one that they weren't perfectly prepared for, and when he uncovers the leg that he had shot off, he finds that he had already given him a mechanical prosthetic one. Hatcher plans to break into another prison, which is located on a ship, but he needs more information. After taking a bit of a pause, Hatcher tells Kai that their enemies had caught his father and were planning to make an example out of him on Liberation Day. Hatcher tells Kai, who's an expert pilot, that he can help his father by hijacking an important ship and retrieving the data carried inside, promising that he'll pick him up and take him to his father as soon as the mission was complete. Kai agrees to go through the mission and lets them launch into deep space on a ship called Arrowhead. He's been put in suspended animation for most of the trip and woke up early to hack into the ship's records. Through the comms, Hatcher informs him that all he has to do is plug in the device and the wrist link will do all the work. While downloading the files, an information pop-up appears informing him that the system would be vulnerable if he continues. When he informs Hatcher of this, he tells him that it's only temporary and to go along with it, and once the download was complete, Hatcher tells him that there's some type of flare outside the ship, and to hold tight until they come for him, but asks him to send the files in the meantime. Trusting him, Kai starts the transfer, but the system failure makes the ship unstable, stopping the file transfer and ejecting all the safety pods. Hurrying toward the shuttle bay attached to the mothership, he locks himself inside and makes his descent to a desert moon below. The shuttle crash lands on the planet, but Kai has not suffered any type of damage. The preliminary reading on the ship warns Kai that the moon's atmosphere might be toxic with symptoms that might lead to paralysis or death, and the AI suggests Kai find a new source of oxygen because the one in the shuttle was depleted. A male voice starts to transmit from the comms, and after he announces that it's Oleander, he informs any survivors to get there as soon as they can. Hearing the announcement, Kai heads out of the shuttle and to the main crash site, and on his way there, he sees one of the pods that had landed before the crash and hurries to check for survivors. And in one of them, he finds a woman and brings her back to the shuttle. When she awakens, Terran logs into the shuttle systems, still suspicious that Kai hadn't been in the launching pad with them. Terran tells him that the launching pods will leave soon and explains that they should go there before it does. After walking for a while, they can see the crashed ship at a distance and notice a strange obelisk a few distance from it. Terran deduces that Kai is working for Hatcher and tells him that he was an evil man who used to raid colonies before the war, explaining that he had killed thousands of people. Kai ignores her, saying that it was just propaganda, and knowing that the surviving people in her ship won't let him in, Kai leaves her and returns to the shuttle in an attempt to fly it and reach a close-by station. When he tries to activate the shuttle, it informs him that he doesn't have the right codes to pilot the craft, and having no other choice, he quickly returns to find Terran, who is almost at the shuttle. But before they get there, the ship starts its ascent, leaving them behind. While they were desperate trying to call out to them, something that they're unable to see comes out of one of the holes and drags Kai inside. Left all alone in the rocky moon, Terran decides to explore in hopes of finding another survivor. While she walks around, she's shocked to see the naked form of Kai on the ground, covered in goo, and his leg completely healed. Taking him back to the main ship, she tests his blood and finds out that his body has formed a symbiotic relationship with another organism that healed him and made him immune to the toxic environment. Once he wakes up, Terran asks him questions about how he feels and about his experience, and unable to tell her anything but the fact that he felt good, he questions her about their resources on the ship, and she confirms that they don't really have any. Leaving the shuttle, they walk around trying to discover something that they can use for sustenance, and stumble upon Oleander, who had been covered in some kind of cocoon. Dragging his body into the shuttle, they get an AI to scan it, so it allows them access to fly. Once they have the ship up and running, Kai refuses to have Oleander come with them because he's sure that it would risk the chances of saving his father. Terran mentions that she knew that he had protected her father when she was younger, and tells him that the man that she knew back then would never leave someone behind to die. And outside, Oleander awakens disoriented and paranoid, and he starts yelling about how Hatcher is going to kill them all, then picks up the gun on the floor before Kai can stop him and shoots and kills Terran. Angry by the loss of the woman, Kai beats Oleander to death before he realizes that he too had been shot. When he awakens, all Kai can find is the remains of 2 dead bodies, and entering the shuttle, he finds that it was almost out of power because it had been left running for 34 days, which was kind of how long he was asleep. The AI also warns him that he had detected Olander's heartbeat while Kai was asleep. For the next few days, Kai works tirelessly to replace the power to the shuttle so he can get to New Holland before his father's execution, and one night, as he was lying asleep, he starts to feel an unbearable pain course through his body. Managing to pick himself up and heading outside, he feels his body go through a terrible transformation. The following day, when he finds himself naked on the sand, Kai deduces that the same symbiotic creature keeping him alive had caused him to transform when his emotions were unstable. Returning to the ship, he tries to keep working on the power source, but the AI system informs him that Liberation Day has been celebrated 2 days ago while he was transformed. Devastated by his father's loss, Kai gives up and lies on the ground, resigned to accept his fate. While he continued to live on the moon, he decided to control his transformations so he wouldn't lose as much time again, and one night, as Kai was conversing with the AI, it suggests a theory that it had been thinking about, and the AI tells Kai that it thinks that he and Olander share the common symbiotic condition, but the other man's symbiotic relationship seems to be permanent. It continues to explain that death was part of their cycle now, and even though the first time Kai had killed Olander was 3 years ago, his consciousness seems to live on in a new replicated body. To test out his theory, the AI suggests that Kai could kill himself, and listening to the machine, Kai does that, and just as the AI said, he's resurrected into a new body. Putting the carcass on display, he uses it to lure the Olander creature into his trap and shoots it, finally able to acquire a sample. As soon as the creature dies, a sound like a monster growling can be heard reverberating all through the palace. When Kai speaks to the AI about this, it mentions that it heard it when Kai killed himself as well, and it assumes the moon acts as if it's mourning every time one of them dies, activating its power to heal them. A few seconds later, the AI mentions that he would like to speak about Terran, but was unable to do so unless it was prompted. In a moment of impatience, Kai demands the answers, and the AI responds by playing an audio recording unveiling the night that Terran was believed to have perished. However, the evidence shows that she underwent her first transformation and cleverly managed to escape. Kai was overwhelmed by emotion and couldn't believe that the AI kept this information for so long, and although he was sad that he wasted so much time when he could have been looking for Terran, he finally has a purpose now and wants to find her. Kai then takes some parts from the ship and builds the AI a body so it could move around freely. He sets out to look for clues on where Terran had gone and begins an expedition all over the place, and he then stumbles upon a large tunnel that seems to branch out the deeper they go. After they walk for a while, the AI starts picking up strong electromagnetic impulses emanating from within. Continuing inside, Kai finds his and Olander's original bodies attached to the walls as if the moon had made it part of it. Kai suffocates Olander to get him out of his misery, killing his beast as well, but is unable to do that with himself and leaving the tunnels, he finds clues that Terran did manage to launch herself away and gets excited. While Kai and the AI were conversing, flaming items start flying from the sky. Hurrying to one that landed nearby, he recognizes it from 3 years ago and is confused about the fact that it's just landing. The AI discloses classified information by telling him that the moon is under an experiment for time dilation, and a few minutes later, Hatcher arrives on the ship and tells Kai that it only been a few minutes while Kai spent years on the moon. He tries to explain to Hatcher that the government was planning to build a prison on the planet, creating thousands of pieces of equipment in just days due to the time difference. The unsurprised Hatcher already knew what was going on and wanted to utilize the moon's strange qualities for himself. When Kai refuses to answer, Hatcher knocks him out, and when he awakens, he shows him Terran, who had been kidnapped while trying to escape, and tells him that he would kill her if he doesn't surrender the information. And staring him down, Kai tells Hatcher that the info was in the research probe outside. But when Hatcher heads out to retrieve it, it's blown up by the bomb that had been inside the automatic foot that they had given him before he grew his own back. Inside the shuttle, Kai transforms into the beast and kills all of Hatcher's men, and when he struggles to return to his human form, Terran starts to calm him down, giving him back some control. Kai and Terran were happy to be reunited once again and head toward Hatcher's ship, which is now theirs. When the AI asks if he's going to save his father, Kai disagrees, saying that he's gonna save everyone. And that is how the movie comes to an end.